Hey guys, welcome back. We're here to continue Phantasma by Kaylie Smith. Hopefully my phone does not cut off this time like it has the last two times. But I wanted to get the video up, so we left off on page 318. We'll do from the first paragraph. It's quite something, isn't it? Sinclair jutted his chin at the dress. You look positively exquisite. Yes, she breathed as he spun her again, and she watched her skirt twirl as if it were lighter than air. All of this took less than an ounce of my energy, he revealed. Imagine the things I could give you if I really took my time. I'm not making any deals with you, she informed him once again, her tone absolute. I don't care how many pretty dresses you give me. But you made a deal with him? He implored, the slits of his pupils tightening ever so slightly with frustration. Why? What was the secret to convincing you to agree? For starters, he isn't a devil. Ah, Sinclair rolled his eyes. It's devils you hate. Original self-preservation, she countered. No deal with you would lead to anything good. But Blackwell's helping me just as much as I am him. More, actually. Until he steals away a decade of your life, Sinclair reminded her. Is that truly something you're prepared to lose? She swallowed. No, it wasn't. But she would never admit that to him, of all people. I'm not going to lose, she stated. Sinclair laughed now, his maroon eyes lighting up with amusement. Oh, sweetheart, but you will. You have no idea what you're up against. Then tell me, she pressed. What am I up against? And why do you hate Blackwell so much? What could he have possibly done to you? The hand on her waist tightened as his face soured with her last question. He had my freedom stolen. I am tied to this fucking hellhole for the next few centuries because of that bastard. What do you mean? I thought the devils that ran this place were here of their own volition. The rest are. It is only me and Phantasma's creator, Salmetrius, who are not here by choice, Sinclair told her. Salmetrius. She filed that name away for later. The manor's creator is forced to be here too? She questioned. Sinclair sighed deeply and pulled them from the dance floor, pushing past the faceless crowd of dancers toward one of the massive pillars on the edge of the room. He leaned back against a marble column, crossing his arms over his broad chest as he began his story. No one in Phantasma can speak of the creator to anyone. He gave her a loaded look, except for me. She propped a hand on her hip and tapped her foot impatiently. Why? It's part of their contract. I, however, am not bound by the same sort of contract. I am indebted, not employed. And the boundaries of my debt do not include any sort of clause that keeps me from speaking about Salmetrius himself, he explained. Only certain details of his situation. How did you become indebted, she wondered. I was foolish enough to once consider Salmetrius a friend. He seethed at the memory, shaking his head as he spoke the word friend. When his father chained him to this place as punishment for treason, I was given a sentence for conspiring with him. His father? Sinclair's smile was all teeth, a fiendish sight. The king of the devils? She gaped in horror, rocking back a step. What? Phantasma is run by the prince of the devils himself, Sinclair finished, nodding in confirmation. Salmetrius felt irrevocably in love and chose his lover over his father. As punishment, his father had his lover killed, and Salmetrius is now forced to run the devil's manor for eternity as a lesson. Or until his father gets bored and ends his sentence early, whichever comes first. And how do you fit into that? His upper lip curled. I tried to help him hide his lover. She frowned. She hadn't expected anything so noble from a devil. In Blackwell? She questioned. Where does he fit into the story? Sinclair straightened up, fury flitting across his expression at the mention of Blackwell's name. That phantom bastard has sabotaged me time and time again. She almost laughed. How? The details don't matter. What does is that I had an opportunity to get the fuck out of here, and that damn ghost ruined it. I'm going to make sure he never sees the light at the end of the tunnel as long as I'm stuck here. That's why you want me to forfeit? She realized the puzzle pieces falling into place. You don't want him to be released as revenge? Sinclair's smile turned tight. It's nothing personal, sweetheart. See, I was about to say the same thing to you. She made to turn away from him. Sorry about your vendetta, but I've got one of my own, and I don't plan to fail. I will be finding Blackwell's key whether you like it or not. His laugh made her pause. She twisted back just in time to see him begin to fade away. We'll see, he whispered. Uneasiness sank in her stomach as she spun around, searching for him. The devil was nowhere in sight, but the ballroom was still perfectly intact. Another song began to play. Another round of dancing rippled through the crowd. She turned toward the shadows just past the columns and tried to step into them, but an invisible force slammed her back. That asshole had trapped her here. She gathered her skirt up in her hands and ran, slicing through the dance floor, shoving bodies out of her way. She tried every corner of the room for another exit, but her search was fruitless. Damn it, she seethed before chanting Blackwell's name. She loathed that she needed him to get her out of here, except that he didn't come. She tried summoning him again. No response. Again, no response. No, this can't be happening. Why isn't he coming? Where is he? The shadow voice cackled. This is what you deserve, foolish girl. Why don't you try smashing the windows? Jump to your doom. She twisted to face the glass wall. The night sky beyond it was still so clear. The stars smiled at her, twinkling in greeting as she padded closer, her silk skirt skimming the ground. Oh, how had she missed the stars? When she reached the glass, she placed a palm flat against its cool surface. Would breaking this glass shatter the illusion? Here goes nothing, she thought as she wound her fist back, bracing herself for the pain that was about to come. A split second before she could throw her punch, however, someone tapped her on the shoulder. She whipped around to find the most handsome man she had ever seen, with eyes of crystal blue and dark hair that curled onto his forehead. He reached out a hand in offering. Would you care to dance? She stared at his hand for a long moment. For some reason, she did want to dance, even though she was pretty sure she shouldn't. I promise I don't bite, the man smiled kindly, the corners of his eyes crinkling adorably. She slowly lifted her hand and placed it in his. Sure. He swept her into his arms and turned her around the dance floor. Song after song she waltzed, passing from partner to partner. Soon she felt herself grow tired, exhaustion setting deeper into her bones with each spin, each beat of the music. The faces of every suitor began to blend together. At the implication of those last words, Ophelia glanced at Blackwell, but his expression was carefully blank. Rhea flicked her eyes to Ophelia. You better get going, girl, she spat, or you'll find yourself outside Phantasma's gates. What about the clue? Ophelia gritted out. Rhea shrugged. Should have been here on time if you needed the assistance. Now, if you'd like to give Blackwell and I some privacy? The devil made a shooting motion with her hand. Shooing. Ophelia scowled as she threw open the door and stepped through, shaking off the envy she had no right feeling, as she prepared herself to face whatever was about to come. Exiting the portal, she found herself in a tight room no larger than 5 square feet. The room had no door or window. It was simply a hollow box, and Ophelia's breathing quickened as the absence of any obvious exit. She really was beginning to hate such enclosed spaces. As she inspected the small room, scrutinizing the smooth alabaster walls for any sort of indication that there might be a way out, her mind wandered to the way Rhea had been looking at Blackwell. She hadn't liked the way the devil had said his name, like it was a name she had once screamed in the throes of an orgasm. And did you see her body? The shadow voice laughed, as if you could compete. Hold on. Ophelia gritted her teeth. No, she would not let herself be distracted by what may or may not. This is precisely why she wanted space. Getting distracted in the middle of a life or death trial was not how she was going to leave this place. She focused her attention back to the walls around her, resisting the urge to summon Blackwell for help. One, because there wasn't enough room here for 2 people, even if one of them was a ghost. And 2, because she needed to figure things out for herself. After a minute of being stumped as to what move to make and realizing that she probably had a limited supply of air, The scraping of rock against rock tumbled through the small space, and she spun to find a small square panel in the wall lifting up to reveal a hidden alcove. The indented space contained 2 chains with metal handles dangling from them. Below the one on the left was the word forfeit, and below the right, wrath. She sighed, well, here goes nothing. She pulled the handle on the right. A panel of buttons flipped up beneath the handles. Each button had a contestant's name etched beneath it. Ophelia gulped. She didn't have any clues to go off of. She could only assume after having picked wrath that she was now supposed to pick who to attack that wrath against. Her fingers hovered over the button that was marked with Cade's name. 2 breaths later, and the walls around her began to shake and crack apart. One by one, each fell to the ground, revealing a larger room behind them, and all 7 of the other contestants standing in the rubble of their stone chambers. As she took in their faces, she was able to determine the 5 people that either died or took a devil's bargain in level 4. James, Eric, Becca, and 2 of the other contestants she'd never bothered to remember were officially gone. The last people standing in her group were herself, Cade, Bo, Lucy, Leon, Edna, Charlotte, and a quiet man with an unfortunate cowlick in his mousy brown hair. Maybe she'd actually learned this one's name before he left. Everyone picked wrath, Lucy observed, voice barely above a whisper. Cade sneered at her. No shit, cousin. Leon visibly teased at Cade's tone. Don't talk to her like that. We're family. I can talk to her however I please, Cade spat at the boy. Would you all shut the fuck up? Charlotte demanded. God, the most torturous part of this fucking place has been being stuck listening to your insipid conversations. Who the fuck made you the boss? Cade snarled. Better than you, asshole, Edna quipped, crossing her arms over her chest as she glared at Cade. Something about her was different, and it took Ophelia a moment to piece it together. She had chopped off all of her long blonde hair. Now it didn't even brush the tops of her shoulders, swishing with every little movement she made. Careful, bitch, or you'll lose your ability to speak, just like your brother, Cade threw back. Edna hissed at the mention of her brother's unfortunate maiming, lurching across the circle at Cade. Bo, ever the good henchman, stepped between them, pointing at something beyond the group. Look. They all turned in sync. 7 stone pedestals had risen from the ground. There was a beat of intense silence, all of them glancing around at each other as they did the math in their heads. That means everyone picked the same person, Leon said. What were the clues? Ophelia asked, the question directed mostly at Lucy. It was something about a unanimous decision, Lucy told her. If 6 of the 7 of us chose the same person, only one of us wouldn't be able to make it to the next level. If the decisions had been split any other way, there was something about extra choice to be made. Cade was the obvious choice, Charlotte spoke up then. Even his friends knew that, apparently, so I think it's clear he's the one who doesn't get a pedestal. Cade's lips curled as he spat. Over my dead fucking body! And then the rush came. Cade pulled no punches, shoving people out of the way with his brutal force as he lunged toward the pedestals. Edna took off after him, making a point to slam her palms into his back when she caught up, sending them both tumbling to the ground in a mess of thrashing limbs. Bo descended on Edna, snatching her back by her hair and pulling her off Cade. Cade slammed his fist into Edna's stomach, making her grunt in pain, and as he wound his hand back to do it again, the mousy-haired man yanked Cade back by his shirt. Dang. Stop it, the man ordered, voice level but firm. What is wrong with you? Cade whipped around. He was about a foot taller than the other man, an advantage he made sure to take as he loomed down over him menacingly. Only 7 of us can get out of here, which means one of us isn't making it, and I don't give a fuck if you all voted. It should be me. And that was when all of you had to do was push a button. Now is the real test. Try and take me out. I dare you, Cade snarled. You're not seriously going to murder someone, Cade, Lucy said, aghast. What is the matter with you? I know things have been hard back home. I know your father gave you an ultimatum, but this is more than fighting to win. This is evil. How could you have expected all of us to unanimously agree on anyone but you at this rate? Evil? He gave a single hard laugh. All the things you've seen in this place, cousin, and you think I'm the evil thing here? Because I'm not a coward? Because I'm willing to do what the rest of you won't? Cade twisted around to look at everyone in the room with disdain. You should all thank me. and when he spotted Ophelia, as if just remembering she was there, he paused. Ophelia didn't break his steely gaze even to blink. "Beau," Cade called out to his friend, who was still holding on to Edna, "drop that one. I have a better target in mind." Ophelia's fist balled by her side as she lifted her chin and challenged. "I'd like to see you try." "You got Eric killed, you demon bitch," Cade accused, stepping toward her. Beau saw you." "Then he also saw that your friend was a fucking fool," she snorted. "He got what was coming to him for attacking me, as will you if you get any closer." Cade made to charge at her, but Leon jumped between them before Cade could reach her. "Stop," Leon insisted. "We aren't going to jump to murder Cade." "Look around and tell me what other options we have," Beau inserted. "Someone could just call a devil and make a bargain," Lucy stated, voice soft. "Wouldn't that be better than murder or death?" "Oh," Beau blinked, as if the thought would have never even occurred to him. It probably wouldn't have. "Where's the fun in that?" Cade sneered. "After all, we all picked wrath, didn't we?" "I say this sincerely," Ophelia spoke, curling a lip in disgust at Cade. "You need an exorcism." "Don't act like anyone here is going to willingly forfeit after coming this far," Cade shot back. "I sure as hell am not." Ophelia made a show of pressing a hand to her heart in mock surprise, staggering back a step as she exclaimed, "Truly shocking." "Let's see you forfeit, then," Cade taunted. Leon gave a frustrated sigh as he addressed the entire group this time. "Raise your hand if you're inclined to forfeit." They all glanced around at each other. Not a single hand went up. "It seems we're at an impasse, then," Charlotte stated. "Not as long as I'm around," Cade grinned, and before anyone could stop him, he wrapped an arm around Edna's neck in a chokehold. The girl's entire face turned red in an instant as she slammed her fist against Cade's bicep, clawing at his skin with her nails. But Cade only squeezed harder. All of them were frozen, watching the grotesque scene in front of them in horror, none of them moving until Edna was almost purple from the lack of oxygen. Cade looked around at each of them in turn, eyes wild. "If you all watch her die, you're all just as responsible for her fate as I am. Someone forfeit, or we will all have blood on our hands." Ophelia swallowed. He was, for once, right, but she still didn't move, not even when Edna grew limp in Cade's arms, not even when she could see the light begin to drain out of the girl's eyes. And maybe it was because her hands had already been stained with blood after what she let happen to Eric. Or maybe she just decided getting to Genevieve was worth a few strangers. "Or maybe you're just as much of a monster as me," the shadow voice whispered. "Or that let her die," the shadow voice insisted. "Let him drain all the life from her is what they deserve." "No," Ophelia whispered. Everyone shifted their uncomfortable gazes to her. "What was that, ghost whore?" Cade questioned. "You give in?" "No," Ophelia growled loud enough to boom through the room this time. "Let her go, now." "Or what?" Cade retorted. Ophelia smiled slowly, making sure to show him all of her teeth. "Or I'll give you a demonstration of exactly what I'm capable of." Cade narrowed his eyes now. "I don't believe you." "No, let her die," the shadow voice screamed. "You're a monster." "Maybe I am a monster," she thought back, "but not the same sort as you. Never that." Edna's eyes were beginning to flutter closed for good. That's when Ophelia went completely invisible. A few choked gasps rang out as they stared at the spot she had been standing moments before. Cade visibly paled. "Where is she?" he demanded, a tinge of panic in his tone. "Where the fuck is she? I told you all she was a demon." His hand on Edna had slackened, and Ophelia positioned herself behind him, unsure how long she could hold herself in this state, and gave a hard kick to the back of his knees. He yelped in surprise, going down like a sack of potatoes, Edna's limp body hitting the ground with a heavy thud moments before he followed. "She needs air," Ophelia yelled at them. "Someone check her pulse." Everyone sprang into action at once, Lucy, Leon, and Charlotte going for Edna, beginning the motions to resuscitate the poor girl. Meanwhile, the mousy-haired man and Beau were watching intently for Cade's next move. Cade spun around in her direction, grasping at the air to find where she was. She easily dodged his arms before pulling her first back and jamming it so hard into his face that she felt the skin of her knuckles split open. He grunted in pain as his nose began to gush blood, but when he sprang himself forward, she dodged him again. She got in one more good hit to his jaw before she couldn't hold her invisibility anymore, and she found herself flickering back into her solid state. Now that Cade could see her, his rage increased tenfold, reflecting the theme of this level perfectly. "Hey, she's breathing," someone exclaimed. "Leon." Ophelia heard Edna choke on a ragged breath, sputtering as a hoarse sob heaved from her chest while trying to suck in as much oxygen as she could, but Ophelia didn't take her eyes off Cade for a moment. Disappointingly for Cade, he didn't get a chance to launch another attack. "I give up," Edna cried. "Please, I'm done. I'll make a deal. Any deal. Just let me leave." "I'm so sorry, Michael. Please forgive me. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Rhea. Get me out of here." The moment the last words were out of the girl's mouth, Rhea appeared, not bothering with the greeting or any sort of ceremony. The devil clasped onto Edna's arm and transported the girl from the room. Chapter 35, Mortal Folly. The rest of the level was uneventful, a somber silence settling over the room from everyone except Cade, whose rage was still rolling through the air around him. Each of them climbed onto one of the stone pedestals, and when they were all in one place, a single door appeared before them. Not one hesitated to exit, and they were promptly deposited back into the dining room where they had begun, albeit with even more paranoia than they had started with. Everyone watched each other with apprehension, but they especially kept an eye on Cade. His true colors were out for everyone to see. Blessedly, Cade didn't bother to stick around for long, Beau hot on his heels. "That guy is a bastard," Charlotte commented, then looked at Lucy. "Did he call you his cousin?" "Our mothers are sisters," Lucy confirmed reluctantly. "We were never close, though. I'm sure you can guess why." Ophelia snorted. "I just feel horrible about Edna." Lucy bit her lip. Her little brother Michael, this was her only chance to bring him back. "I'm so sorry, Michael," the girl had sobbed. Ophelia's chest tightened with empathy. She knew all too well the feeling of being helpless at the death of a family member. She hoped the girl found peace. Lucy turned to Ophelia now. "You turned invisible." "Yeah, I suppose that cat's out of the bag," Ophelia muttered. "I knew your family were necromancers, but I didn't realize you could do something like that," Lucy said. "Genevieve never liked when we asked questions about magic and such." "Sounds like Genevieve, but in fairness, I didn't even know I was capable of such an ability until a couple of days ago," Ophelia admitted. "Well, you did a good thing, you know," Lucy said, "when none of the rest of us did." Ophelia shrugged. "The idea of Cade getting something he wanted didn't sit well with me, and no one deserves to die like that." Lucy nodded, and then without another word, they all trickled out of the room. Ophelia lingered, partially because she was absolutely ravenous since she missed dinner, and partly because she felt a familiar gaze settle over her and did not have any intention of luring the owner of that gaze back to her room to be cornered in the one place she felt semi-comfortable in this manner. She plucked a bunch of grapes up from the table, popping one of the sweet green spears into her mouth as she said, "Hello, Sinclair." Sinclair faded into view on the opposite end of the dining table, leaning forward. Hands gripped atop of one of the chair backs as he watched her eat. "Please, darling, call me Sin." She glared at him. He flicked his eyes over her lazily. "I see you made it out. Of the level or your tricks?" She tilted her head, popping another grape between her lips. "Both," he allowed. "Can't blame me for trying, though, can you?" "Keep that sentiment in mind for the day I try to banish you to the pits of hell," she quipped back. "Although, I truly hope you're tied here for the rest of your miserable eternity." His answering grin was vicious. "As long as Blackwell is tied here with me." "What do you want?" she demanded. "Just thought it'd be fun to be the one to inform you that if you're looking for our aforementioned phantom friend, he ran off with Rhea shortly after you went through the portal. Did he ever tell you that they were lovers for quite some time?" The jealousy was back in full force. She set down her grapes, appetite gone. "Ah, I see he didn't," Sinclair laughed. "Rhea always claimed he was one of her favorites. In fact, something about the way he eats her." "Stop," she snarled. "I don't want to hear this. Leave me alone." Sinclair shrugged. "Just thought you should know who you've been sharing your bed with and who's been sharing his bed with." "You have been sharing your bed with him, haven't you? I saw the two of you in the hallway that night." She blushed furiously, but didn't dignify any of that with a response. "You may think the two of you are close," Sinclair warned, "but nothing in Phantasma is ever as it truly seems. I'm pretty sure I taught you that lesson well enough already." Oh, I don't know, she quipped. You seem like an utter bastard, and that's holding up so far. He glowered, opening his mouth to return her biting remark. She was sure, but a telltale whistle began to carry down the hall, just outside the room, and the devil disappeared. As predicted, Jasper passed by the entryway moments later, only halting when he spotted her standing there, alone. Hello, sweetheart, Jasper roved his eyes over her, head to toe, as he leaned a shoulder against the doorframe. I heard you nearly missed that last trial after an unfortunate scene in the library. And who did you hear that from? She asked. Is there some sort of devil gossip mill here? Us devils enjoy following pretty mortal folly just as much as your kind does, he smirked. But this I heard from the horse's mouth himself. Blackwell? Jasper shook his head. Sinclair. Blackwell's occupied. She froze. Occupied? The devil's three eyes assessed her closely, scrutinizing her for something she hoped he didn't find. Yes. He was going to make her ask. She made her tone as nonchalant as possible. Occupied with what? It's not really my business to tell, Jasper answered, which is my favorite kind to tell. He's with Rhea, I believe. Not unusual. Her stomach churned. The jealousy was writhing beneath every inch of her skin now, and she didn't know what to do about it. This was bad. So bad. Blackwell possibly fucking a devil somewhere should not elicit this sort of response in her. In fact, it should be a relief. The more time he spent pleasuring someone else, the less time he spent distracting her. Unfortunately, the ache in her chest was not soothed by that logic. I have to go, she muttered. Stalking back to her room, she wanted nothing more than to climb into a scalding hot bath and scrub away the feeling of betrayal she had no right to claim. The water in the bathtub was not nearly as hot as she wanted it to be, but it would have to do. She sank into the porcelain tub, submerging herself up to her chin, letting her dark tresses float out around her. For a sweet, blissful moment, her mind was quiet. The only sound was the calming lap of water against her skin. But the shadow voice never missed an opportunity to disrupt her peace. He's probably fucking that devil against a wall somewhere in the manor, the insidious voice cackled. If you knock on the side of the tub 3 times, maybe you can stop it from happening. Her fist clenched by her side. She refused to give in to such a ridiculous compulsion. If Blackwell was fucking someone against a wall right now, why should she stop him? He didn't belong to her and never would. Did you see how pretty she was? The shadow voice continued. Ebony hair, violet eyes, sinful smile. What do you think her name sounds like on his tongue? Shut up. Go away. Knock 3 times and I will, it demanded. Her hand twitched and she gnashed her teeth together. No, she would not give in. Knock, it continued to growl. Knock, 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 knock. She gave in. 3 quick taps of her knuckles against the porcelain and the voice dissipated like smoke, making her rage. She hated that giving in to it made it quiet, worried that one day she'd slip and accidentally give it into something unforgivable if it asked of her. She hated that she wasn't strong enough to shut it out completely, and that she thought a little bit less of herself each time she didn't. Now she submerged herself fully beneath the water, letting her eyes stay open to watch the bubbles drift to the surface above. She stayed like that, hair floating all around her, tickling her skin until her lungs burned and screamed for oxygen. Just before she pulled herself up, a face appeared above the tub, one with piercing green eyes. Pulling herself to the surface, she gasped for air, droplets rolling down over her skin and falling from her thick lashes. Her hair pasted down her back, heavy from the water. Blackwell was standing beside the tub, arms crossed, shielded expression on his face as he roamed his gaze over her naked form. Glad to see you made it out of another trial, he commented. Were you planning on letting me know? She raised her brows at his audacity. Letting you know? I didn't realize that was an obligation of our bargain. He didn't react to the bite in her words. If anything, he looked bored. The last time I went looking for you somewhere, I found you enamored in Sinclair's illusion, dancing around the library. Alone, in a complete trance. I don't think it's unjustified that I might like you to check in and let me know that you're still alive after completing a level you didn't summon me to help with. She sighed heavily and gestured down at herself. You can see I'm alive, can't you? As for not summoning you, I didn't need your help, so I didn't summon you. See how that works? Her tone was dripping in sarcasm, and a flicker of something she couldn't quite pinpoint went through his gaze. Are you going to refuse to talk about what happened with Sinclair? I don't see why that matters, she said. You don't see why it matters, he scuffed. You were lured into one of his tricks because you needed space, and damn near got disqualified because of it. But I didn't, she pointed out, shifting forward in the tub to sit up on her knees and sloshing water out of the sides as she moved. And if you really cared about me getting stuck in Sinclair's trick, you would have come one of 3 times I tried to summon you. Her voice cracked at that last bit, and his expression finally broke, morphing from apathetic to pained. Where were you? She demanded. Where were you? I couldn't hear your summons, though, through Sinclair's magic, he told her, head shaking with regret. He's much more powerful than I am. We're supposed to have a bond, she swallowed. That's the deal. I call, you come. He kneeled down before her and grabbed her face in his hands, eyes piercing into hers with sincerity. I need you to know if I had heard you, there would have been nothing that could have stopped me from getting to you. Hell, nothing did stop me from getting to you. I went looking for you because I got the strangest feeling that something was wrong. I had every intention of respecting your request for space until then. I was scared, she whispered. When I realized he trapped me, I called and called for you, and you didn't show up, and... He leaned his forehead against hers. I'm sorry, Angel. The truth of his words was palpable in the air around them. She swallowed. Where did you come from just now, I mean? She knew she shouldn't have asked, but here he was, naked, vulnerable, and on the verge of asking him to hold her closer, unable to get one thing off her mind. He pulled back, searching her face for the underlying motive behind the question. Why? She sat back once again, bringing her knees up to her chest and wrapping her arms around them to hide herself. A move that definitely did not escape his notice. Sin said you were with the devil from level 5. I forgot her name. She lied. Sin? He practically snarled. Have we not learned our lesson about listening to Sin yet? Jasper confirmed it as well. Blackwell rolled his eyes to the ceiling, muttering something that sounded like nosy bastard under his breath before fixing her with a pointed look. Rhea only said those things in front of you because she knew she could get a rise out of you. Teasing mortals delights her. Don't give her the satisfaction. So you were with her? When the slow smirk began to curl up on the corners of his mouth, she knew she'd made a mistake. Jealousy is a sexy color on you, almost as sexy as blood. I'm not jealous, she wanted to scream, but it was too late. She had already given herself away. Instead, she said, please go away. I need to finish bathing. With what soap? He glanced around. In what washcloth? Her face heated with frustration. Of course he couldn't just spare her some dignity. Don't worry, I got it. He winked as he snapped his fingers, and a small glass vial of liquid soap appeared in his hand, along with the washcloth. He kneeled forward on the ground and reached over the lip of the tub to dampen the cloth before pouring some of the soap into the middle of it and lathering it up. Give me your back. For a moment she didn't move, wanting to protest that she did not need to be bathed as if she were a child. But when he waved an impatient hand at her in turn, she sighed and caved in. She curled her torso forward and rested her chin atop her knees, while he gathered her hair and twisted it out of the way over her left shoulder. He began rubbing the washcloth over her bare shoulders and down her spine, sending a shiver through her at the intimacy of the moment. The sweet floral smell of magnolias hit her, and she recalled the walks into town with her mother, the scent of the trees drifting alongside them. As he continued his ministrations, her body relaxed, the emotional exhaustion of the day finally sinking into her bones. Rhea owed me a favor, and I called it in to pay Jasper back for lending us the contestant logs, he began. She began to pick at her nails as she said, I don't want to talk about her. Rhea and I haven't had an intimate relationship in a very long time, he pressed on as if she hadn't spoke, and even when we did, it was purely physical. She twisted around to give him a hard look. This is exactly what I didn't want to talk about. I didn't need the details of your past debaucheries. Thanks. He shrugged. There aren't many details for me to give anyway. It was all very forgettable. I can hardly remember anything other than being distracted from the consuming loneliness of living eternally without a single person who knows me. Because of my limited recollection, I barely know myself. The sadness in his tone made her heart bleed. She faced him fully now, and he brought the washcloth to the side of her neck, running it down to her shoulder, across her clavicle, then lower between her breasts. But you? he told her as he brushed the rag beneath the swells of her chest and over her smooth stomach. You are apparently anything but forgettable. You forgot the first time we met, she reminded him. Did I? He murmured. Because I felt you the moment you stepped into Phantasma. It was an undeniable magnetic pull. That led me to finding you that first day, yanking on that door, making conversations with a car dressed in blood. A soft smile began to curl at the corners of his lips at the memory. I wanted to offer you my bargain then and there, but I knew I had to be patient. So I made myself leave you, determined to give you space for the rest of the night. And then you found me, because it seems that's what we do. We find each other. The corner of her eyes began to prick at his sweet words. You only felt my presence that first day because you recognized the essence of my father, not me. No, that's just what I let you believe, he told her, determined. I didn't want to scare you further with the intensity of it all in such a vulnerable moment. The familiarity of your bloodline helped with the part of connecting you to your father, yes. But it's you I am drawn to, Ophelia. You claim that I told you to stay away from here the very first time we met. Then you were erased from my memories, and yet... He shook his head with slight disbelief. Yet we still found our way back to each other, because even with my memory gone, you marked me somehow. You don't have to sugarcoat anything, she whispered. I know whatever it is we're doing has an expiration date. His hand stilled for a beat, his jaw clenching at her words. I saw you save that girl, he told her, meeting her eyes. When you didn't summon me, I became worried and went to the other side to watch the trial play out. You saved that girl when not a single soul would. You joined the competition knowing it would cause you harm, not because you want money or fame or a stupid fucking prize, but for your sister. There are times that you're afraid of yourself, but you'll look a devil right in the eye and insult them. You have learned so much about your magic in just a few days than people do in months, even years. You figured out that imposter in level 2 wasn't me, and you had barely known me for 3 days. I can't think of any other person who knows a single thing about me. I am honored that I have gotten to spend this time with you. I only wish we had more. A tear rolled down her cheek. I killed someone. I know, he told her as his eyes tracked the tear over her skin and into the tub. The voice in my head has told me to do worse, she confided. It's always telling me to harm someone, no matter how much I beg it to stop. He tilted his head. And do you? No, she whispered, but it makes it easy to think anything good about myself is simply neutralizing all the darkness in my head. I've done nothing extraordinary. All of my energy goes toward trying to atone for the negative energy I put into the world every time the voice awakens. He huffed a laugh. That's not how things work, Angel. Life is not measured in good or bad thoughts. It's how you treat the world around you despite them. All the people who only do good deeds because of what that might gain them in the afterlife are no better than those who indulge in a little sin every once in a while. Eric died because of me, she reminded him. He was trying to kill you. He deadpanned. That is what I call neutralizing. He continued lathering every inch of her skin until it was covered in suds. Cupping his hand into the water, he scooped it over her pebbled flesh to rinse away the soap. Blackwell? Yes, he murmured. Part of me wants to ask you more about my father, but another part of me doesn't want to know what it's missing if I never get to meet him. I've never really thought about him this much before. My mother and sister were always enough, she told him. Something in his eyes dulled a bit at her words. Not asking is probably for the best then. She nodded. Then, I'm sorry that I fell for Sinclair's tricks so easily, and for getting jealous. I know I don't have a right to be, especially after I said we needed space. I don't own you. His expression heated, and he stood, offering a hand out to her to help her out of the tub. She took it. Is space still what you want? He asked, roving his eyes from her crown to her toes as she dripped water onto the floor before him. A shaky breath. I shouldn't have a choice at this point. But since you do, he implored. No, I don't want space, she breathed. I want anything but space. Their collision was earth-shattering. So I'm going to stop there. We left off on chapter 36, Cursed. We don't have that much more. We're on page 348. We'll be done by Halloween for sure. But thank you guys for being here and putting up with my shorter videos. And like, I could only read for so long before my throat actually hurts. But thank you guys. I appreciate each and every one of you, and I hope you've enjoyed this. This book is like, I can't even describe it. It's good though. Now, would I read the second one? I'll have to tell you that when we get to the end of this one. But the next book is The Gingerbread Bakery. So after this, like, they're really long books. I need to choose a little bit shorter one so it's easier to get through in a timely manner. But this is really good. And I appreciate you guys, and I will hopefully be able to make another video tomorrow. It's the weekend, but hopefully I can get it in tomorrow. Thanks for everything, guys. Bye.